Rinse takes your laundry and hand-delivers it to your door, expertly cleaned and folded. So you could take the time once spent folding and sorting and waiting to finally pursue a whole new version of you. Like Tea Time You. Or this Tea Time You. Or even this Tea Time You.
So did you hear about Dave?
Or even Tea Time You.
So update on Dave.
It's up to you. We'll take the laundry. Rinse. It's time to be great.
So many friends of mine, as soon as their TV show ended, their table at Spago was gone. I never had a table at Spago. I just went home and made dinner. I've been using the same fork since high school.
You have?
It works great. It hasn't broken. I haven't had to get any warranty work done on it. It's an excellent fork. It works fine. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to carry like $20 in this pocket and like $300 in this pocket. So if I got robbed, I would just give them this pocket. I'm hitchhiking. A guy picks me up, puts a knife to my throat. I go, okay, hang on. And I went to the wrong pocket, and I gave him the $300. I said, oh, that's the wrong pocket. What do you? You got something in the other pocket. Then he got my other money too. I went, oh yeah, man.
Well.
Yeah.
When you create an environment, right? So a lot of times people think leaders or bosses or whatever you want to call them, it's like, no, I have to, drive the, I guess you would say the influence or drive the motivated environment to be successful. But really what a real leader does, like what you did, is you created that environment.
Well, I think you should always try to lead by example.
Right.
I find if I was the first one in the morning at 7:30 and the last one to leave, nobody grudges how much money you make because you at least appear to be working at least as hard as they are. I remember once years ago, Chevy Chase had a talk show for a short time, like 6-8 weeks or something. And I said to him, because he was successful as an actor, so why are you doing a talk show? He goes, well, I got young kids and I'd like to go sailing in the morning with them till, like 8 to 11 or 12. And then come in the afternoon and do the show. I went, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm there at 7:30 in the morning. I don't get out of it till 8 o'clock. And then I have to go. Then I write the monologue from 10 until 2 in the morning. How can you? He said, oh, no, I don't want to do any of that. And he kind of saw what happened there. I mean, nice guy, but he just had this idea of people think, I love Johnny Carson's job. Boy, you come in at 4, you tape at 4:30, you go home at 6. Well, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's crazy because you're talking about these hours, right? And I think a lot of people, when they see success on the TV, when they look at your career and they look at the Tonight Show and everything that you have done since then to really stay in the present tense for everybody on the planet, quite honestly, is they don't see the behind the scenes work. And what you just alluded to or flat out said was it's a blue collar work ethic, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like people always say, okay, what's the funniest joke you've ever told? Well, no matter what you say, it's not going to be that funny.
Right.
It's just, we go, oh, that's not as funny as when you preface it like that,
Right.
And so, Dean Martin did not drink. He really didn't. I worked with the man. It was apple juice. But if he appeared drunk and was kind of all over the place, oh, my God, guy just shows up and he's funny. Well, no, it's a lot of work to do that all day. Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, right? Because nothing comes, right? You can talk about passions or hobbies, but when it's your purpose, you care so much about refining your craft and building behind the scenes. So that way you go through the stages in the process. And that way, when the cameras are on, that's where you shine. But that's not where it begins.
Well, I'm dyslexic, and dyslexic people tend to over-focus on things. I remember reading that my mother used to say, you're going to have to work twice as hard as the other kids to get the same thing. And that always seemed fair. I'll do that. That seemed all right. I remember at my high school graduation, I said, I'm going to go to L.A. and try to be host of the Tonight Show. I said, well, that didn't seem that ridiculous. In hindsight now, it looks, it's not ridiculous, but that's what I set the goal to be, and it actually worked out okay.
What about you though, right? Because I have big goals too, and there's always the sideline commentators like, man, you really can't do that. You just can't start a podcast.
Right.
And, so what was it about your mindset and your determination and discipline?
Well, I figured I would do it until I had to get a real job.
Okay.
I just never had to get a real job. And I found that...
So, you're about to make a trade based on a friend's text. But which you do you listen to? Is it, oh, we could buy a house in Tulum? Get optioning those options. We could lose everything. Or let's do a little research. Get your head in the trade and make the investment decision that's right for you. Learn more at finra.org/trade-smart.
90%, what's that old thing? 90% is perspiration, not inspiration, whatever it is.
Right.
But I remember I'd go down to the Improv, and back in those days, there weren't that many comedians. And the Improv was mostly singers. So you'd line up at 6 o'clock to get an 11 o'clock spot, you know. And I remember getting it at like 5:30, you know, and there'd be like 8 guys in front of me, and then one would go, "This sucks, I'm not waiting in line." And he'd step on, "Oh, I move forward." "Oh, all right." Yeah. So that was always my attitude. Just wait for the other guy to wear out or tire out or get fed up or get frustrated.
There's something to say about that, right? Because I see it a lot, you know, even in my industry. It's like, who has the staying power? Who's going to sit there when it's inconvenient and there's a little bit of pain going on? Yeah. And so, like, to your point, that's what you did. People were dropping out and you kept going. I always
tell people, if you can stay in the show business for 7 years, you'll make a living. But something happened. Too greedy, too straight, too gay, too high, too drunk, too jealous, too envious. Well, there's always some other reason why. I mean, assuming you have talent to start with.
Sure.
You can't. Yeah. But the reason they fail usually has nothing to do with, you know, I mean, I love Charlie Sheen, but he's my example. Very talented guy, funny, still funny. It just implodes. It just gets crazy. You know, what are you doing? How do you go through $200 million? You know, it's pretty crazy. Yeah,
it is pretty crazy. You know, just when you think of all that, there's always something about somebody that the reason why they're successful and they stay or they fade out.
Well, see, it's a genetic flaw that makes you a performer. It's not a plus. You have this thing which, you know, I always use the example, you know, like if you're a soldier in the Crusades and you're a comedian, who's making the soldiers laugh? Oh, that guy there. Kill him. You know, because we don't need that. You know, we just live in an era now where funny, just happens to pay huge dividends.
Right.
Which is very good. But if you grew up in the era where, why are they laughing? Kill that guy. And then you're dead. They kill a guy. So that's kind of, you have to find your era where you want to live.
You know, it's interesting to me because when you were going through everything, when you were starting in your career, you didn't come up in an era with, you know, YouTube, social media, where people can really see you, stage after stage. What did that environment teach you about greatness?
Well, you know, you can only live in the era you live in. I always hate these things where if Muhammad Ali fought Joe Louis, no, they didn't fight. They're never going to fight. Right. You don't know what you don't know what the odds are. It didn't happen. So let's not pretend that it didn't. So, I mean, the era I grew up in, you had to sort of get your own. Well, this is kind of a silly story. I think I've told this story. Jerry Sein, I was maybe a little bit ahead of Jerry. I'm a couple of years. I'm 5 years older than Jerry. So I was a little bit ahead of him. You know? So one day, and we both had like done one Merv Griffin or something. And I got picked to be the best face to caricature by the Caricature Association of America. And they had a picture of me and this press, it went out. And Jerry calls me, he goes, "How could you have, you haven't really been anywhere. You haven't done it. How do you get to be the most caricatured face?" I said, "Jerry, I'm president of the American Caricatures Association." I said, "There is no American Caricatures." But I found if you sent out a press release, newspapers would just print it. They don't fact check. They don't do anything. But there was this picture. Jay Leno voted most, and it just showed up everywhere for a couple of weeks.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I just set it out as president of the. It was just so stupid, and that's pretty much what it is. Plus, the other thing was, I never asked how much the job paid. I just well, I don't mean that. I did ask, but I didn't want to be a guy that turns down how much to pay. I'm not working for that. No, you're not worth anything. What are you doing on a Tuesday that's worth this much money? All right, so shut up.
Yeah, that's perspective, though.
Just
right?
go do the job. Yeah.
I think a lot of things nowadays, people think they're entitled to more without going through the stages and doing the work. Right?
It's unbelievable how entitled. I meet entitled people. I am a huge believer in low self-esteem. It is the key to success. If you don't think you're the smartest person in the room, to be smart, you're able to find the people that are smarter than you and take their advice, Like David, you mentioned, young guy, smart guy. He comes up with things and I go, oh, it wouldn't be the way I do it. And then, I guess that's
kind of worked, didn't it? Yeah.
But that's what it is. I go on the presumption, most people can't do anything. Some people can do one thing. I can do one thing. But I've had so many friends that got TV shows. And when they got TV shows, no, I want the lighting this way. Well, this is Jack so-and-so. He's the best light. I don't care. I don't care. I want, to me, I tried to hire the best people I could. And then I listened to them. When they told me I sucked, look, you sucked, okay? You got another show tomorrow, fix it then, And that always seemed to work for me.
I relate to that, right? Because for me, it's like, this is what I can do. But my partner, Pat Sickens, he has a whole nother business partner.
Right.
I want to clarify.
Far be it from me.
Because, so many different skills. And there's a lot of different things that I don't understand. Like, I don't understand this concept here, but this is what you do. So like, go for it. Let's do this, right? You have to be able to, like you said, the gift of low self-esteem, or the ability to know that other people have other gifts and channel those gifts so that you can elevate even more. Right. You know? Yeah. That's a great point, man.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
Well, I just think it makes sense,
Why do you think people don't do that, though? I mean, because like you said, like, what are you doing on a Tuesday that makes you worth this much money? Or like, hey, I want the lighting like this. If you could do everything, man, just do it yourself. Why do you think people go that route?
I don't know. I mean, it's there's ego involved. People think they're better than they are with some particular thing or whatever it might be. I don't know. I consider that somewhat of a gift, being able to see that you're not that good. Thank you very much. It doesn't seem that complicated to me.
No, I agree with you. I just want to get your perspective on it. Were there ever points when you were on the Tonight Show or after a stand-up routine, you kind of looked at yourself and you're like, man, because you have other people, like you said, like, hey, you suck tonight, fix it tomorrow. Were you one of those guys that were always hypercritical of yourself and like, I can get better here, here, and here. Okay, don't do that again. What was that like for you when you watched yourself? Yeah, it's just a
matter of listen to the audience, listen to your tape, and throw out everything that's not funny. Comedians get married to a joke. They don't know. It worked in Denver 2 years ago. Okay, but that was one night in time. There's been a million other nights,
Right.
I always tell comedians, when you get successful in one place, get out of there. I started in Boston. When I started to get successful in Boston, I just left and went to other cities to work, just because then you wind up with a Boston act. You got 20 minutes on the Citgo sign in Kenmore Square. You got the thing on where the Red Sox play, Fenway Park. All your material is now local.
Right.
And then you go someplace else and they don't laugh. Then you run back to the place, Yeah. So that's why I was never really that concerned about making money, because the worst comedian in the world sadly makes 10 times more than the best comedian, for a best teacher. I mean,
best teacher,
not comedian. And that seems patently unfair. So whatever the job paid, it was fine. I didn't, I mean, the example I always use, when I was one of 7 or 8 guys guest hosting the Tonight Show, and the manager for like 6 of those guys called me and said, we're going to Johnny. We want to get $25,000 a show to host. And I said, well, I'm getting $512, which was scale. And they said, well, we can get you. You sign with me, and I get you with the... No, I'm fine. Well, I knew Johnny owned the show. And at the end of the month, let's see, we spent $250,000. Leno costs us $2,500. Why don't we go with Leno? It just seemed like common sense.
$2,500.
Well, I get $500, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what my expenses for the month were that. And I mean, I have no proof of that, but we all did about the same rating, and we're all pretty good and funny, you know. So I think it was a financial decision. I said, okay, so then I got the show permanently, you know, so it was fine.
It's pretty awesome. It's nice to hear like the background of it, right? Because the public just sees you on the Tonight Show.
Right.
That's all the public sees, right? Was there a certain point in your life when you were coming up that you looked at comedy and you said, okay, this just isn't a passion, but this is my purpose?
Well, this is my purpose. The dream, the impossible. No, it always seems, it just makes me laugh. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. It just seems like such a silly. We're not curing cancer here. I knew this test tube. You know, you're just writing. You're just telling jokes,
right? You
know, so you can't really take it too seriously. The real simple rule is, you know, comedy is the economy of words. Rodney was always my favorite because Rodney would get to the joke very quickly. You know, my favorite Rodney joke. I saw this bar. It's a topless bottomless. I went in. There was nobody there. I mean, it's perfect. It's like 6 words, and it makes it boom. It gets you right there. And that was all the thing. The idea was just, you know, for years, when I call him Richard Pryor, but he was Richie when he was like the king. I'm the guy, and he was getting ready for his Live in the Sunset Strip. Live recording of his comedy act. And he was at the Comedy Store every night. And I asked Mitzi, can I follow Richard every night? She said, yeah, why? Because I'll find out if I'm funny or not. And I would do 45 minutes and realize, I've got about 16 minutes here that are really funny. I just threw out everything else. But now I had 16 really tight minutes. And that's what I do now. I add on just another joke 30 seconds at a time. I don't go out with a whole brand new thing. I just try to do it one joke at a time. That work? Okay, try it in different, you know. I always mention this, that, you know, the best advice Johnny Carson gave me was write the joke down, get on stage, read it as flat and as dull as you can. And if it gets a laugh, okay, you got a funny joke. Then add the physicality to it, the loud voice, whatever it might be, to make it come alive. You know?
That's interesting. Is there a certain comedian that you enjoy most in current day?
Well, I like all the comics. Mulaney's good. Bill Burr kills me. Just the most Boston guy. Yeah, I like anybody doing it. I like people who look normal but are funny. Even in the old days when it was Jack Benny and Carson, I never cared for the throw a pie and the Milton Berle squirt and the flour squirts water kind of stuff. You know, Jerry Lewis was never one of my favorites. I like Newhart to me. Newhart to me was just the greatest because it was just a slight turn of phrase. You know, I always give the example of Bob's joke. He had a bit about the first astronaut to make contact with extraterrestrials. So he makes contact, comes back to Earth, and there's a big press conference. You know? And one of the reporters says, how far ahead of us are these extraterrestrials? Bob says, about 6 weeks. And, you know, it's not 2 weeks, which is too close. It's not 6 months. It's 6. And you can't reach, you can't catch up to 6 weeks.
Right.
And it just killed me because just a slider, you know, right over the plate, swing and miss because you don't see it coming. That was all. I always liked those kind of jokes. I like when words are used effectively.
You're using some baseball references.
I know nothing about baseball.
You know nothing about baseball. You sounded like you're talking about sliders.
No, I know nothing about it. That's also a hamburger.
Oh.
Yeah.
A hamburger.
Yeah. You never heard of a slider?
Well, no, I'm a baseball guy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now I see. Look at you. Look at you.
Catch it on quick.
I'm like hyper-focused on the game, and you're throwing food at me.
There you are.
Making me hungry right
there. There you go.
I love sliders. It's good. Couldn't hit one, but I can eat a couple.
There you go.
That's everyone that I know that has come into contact with you and had some type of experience with you. It talks about, and I can confirm because I'm sitting here in person with you and we've had interaction off camera, is you're very down to earth and you're simple, you're kind. What was it about your parents that instilled that type of, I guess, overall beingness inside you?
Well, I think that's mostly from my mother's side.
Okay.
My mother was very cognizant of everybody else's feelings for things, When she would come see me, like, why did you pick on that man in the audience? He said, well, Mommy, he was heckling me. She'd go, well, no, he seemed like a nice man. It was always that kind of thing. So, yeah, probably more so my mother's side of it.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad was Italian. My dad had been a prize fighter as a young man. So my dad was a tough guy, but a good guy, led by example. Wow. I remember when I think I was 5 or 6 years old. My dad came in, and my dad quit fighting, got a job selling insurance. And he must have closed some big deal because he's giving people cigars and he got the big meatball that night and whatever it might be. And I thought, that's what success, that looks like success. My dad was very good at teaching by example. My dad would drink occasionally, but I never saw him drunk. I never saw him abusive or anything of that nature. So they were just a good example.
So it sounds like the kindness from your mom's family, right? That empathetic kindness, and then from your dad, that's where you learned to lead from example.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
That's pretty cool.
That's fair to say.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I was very fortunate. I had great parents. I grew up in a small town in New England, so I had good teachers. When I meet teachers in LA, they're always writing a screenplay, or they have something else they're
trying to get out. Yeah.
Whereas I grew up in a town where Mr. Robichaud was in the same homeroom for 40. We're in the same suit.
Yeah.
For the whole 40 years.
That's his profession.
With
That's
the shoes
what he does.
the front of the shoes coming apart, and there's chalk marks on the jacket, and all that, yeah.
I think I have a pair of shoes that have the front coming off too. I don't wear them anymore, but I haven't thrown them away. I don't know why, but I can see that, like when I was even growing up, I'm 46, I graduated high school in 1997, but even then, right, teachers were teachers, right? They weren't looking to use that as a stepping stone to move on to something else. And in fact, my wife, she spent her whole career in sales, making great money, just an absolute killer. And she recently, 4 years ago, switched careers to be a Spanish teacher at a prep school, which allows our children to have the best education possible at Fort Myers. It's what she does. And the effort that she gives is different than I see a lot of other teachers nowadays, to your point.
Yeah.
Not a stepping stone.
Well, I'm not denigrating teachers.
Nope.
I just what I had seemed different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was because there was nothing else, right? It was like, that was the thing. It's interesting to me because I look around here and, all these beautiful vehicles. Do cars resemble something else for you other than just to have nice collectibles? Is there any type of mentality or satisfaction internally on that?
We're talking with my psychiatrist now.
I know, yeah.
That's
what I do.
Sexual inadequacies.
No, I didn't say you had sexual inadequacy.
Well, obviously I do.
You might, but I don't think so.
Well, I like things that roll, explode, and make noise. I mean, it's real simple.
Very cool.
When you work with your hands, it makes you appreciate how easy it is just to talk for a living. That's, I think, that when you work on a car all day and it's still not fixed, then you go on stage and they give you a big check. Oh, well, this is so much easier.
This is easy
than doing that. So I think that's part of it. Plus, I'm one of those people when the heart is healthy is when the head and the hands work together. You do something manual, and then you do something mental, and it sort of balances out the day.
It's one of those things that I remember growing up. I had the dad that would yell at me in the driveway, because I could never, my mind didn't work like that. I was just so hyper focused on baseball.
Right.
That was my thing. Of course, I was going to be a Major League Baseball player, right? And, he would say, can you hand me this tool? And I would hand him something complete opposite.
Right.
And so for me, like cars growing up was like, if daddy asked me to go to the garage, like, Mom, tell him I'm not here. Like so I never got to connect that. And I think it's one of those things that, I've been missing because like you said, the mental in your hands.
Right. It's funny.
I mean, I get excited when I could change a light bulb, man. Like, oh, look at what I did.
Well, there you are.
I did that, man.
That's my case.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just interesting because, I knew that there always has to be some other type of reason why somebody, really dives into something, and it's because it's working on your mental. So, I just think it's interesting, very, very cool. Very cool. And this thing is huge, you've had this place for quite a while, and you've expanded, and it's just, it's overwhelming. It's incredible. It's incredible to see it.
Yeah, it's fun. We have a good time.
Yeah. Like it looks like it. Everybody's so nice, saying hi and walking around, enjoying themselves. Movie theater. That's what it looks like behind you.
Well, that's we usually have bad car movie night. You try to find all the bad car movies your wife won't watch. The guys show up here. Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Well, the one that makes me laugh the most is Steve McQueen's Le Mans. Because it's just a car going on a track. And when we watch, he's just driving around. What's the story here? Honey, look at that 917.
He's turning left.
Yeah, turning left. Look at that. Yeah, it just makes me laugh.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, just, with your wife, I admire, and again, when we get married, those are
right.
Yeah, that's the focus. But, with everything going on with your wife, you've been so dedicated, and just you're with her, and it's kind of an amazing story.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I know.
It's just odd now. We live in an era now. We're just doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
We grew up in that era, though. It's in front of us.
It's not really. I enjoy it. It's not like it's hard work or anything.
Yeah.
It's great. You have to find the humor in it. My wife is very much involved in women's issues.
Mm-hmm.
She got a Nobel Peace Prize nomination. And she works with women in Afghanistan and human rights. Okay. So when the dementia started to come in, it's like, okay. So like when we watch TV, I tend to watch episodic shows. If we watch something that's like 5 or 6 parts, and she gets a little confused. And I don't remember did we watch the first part? Oh, yeah. So we're watching Hawaii Five-0 from the 60s with McGarrett. And of course, McGarrett, every time he talks to him, sweetie, honey, come here. Sweetie, did you see the guy run by here? Okay, thank you, honey. So anyway, Stanley Holloway plays a scientist who is a genetic engineer, and he gets kidnapped by the Red Chinese. Okay, so McGarrett goes to see his daughter, who's like 38 years old, and he says to her, what kind of genetic engineering did your father do? And she says, well, I'm just a woman. I don't really understand these things. And I hear my wife, she's just getting madder. She's swearing at the TV. And I go, oh, good, the fire is still there, So it just makes me laugh. She's just yelling, I go, no, honey. See, she didn't understand because she's a woman. Shut up. It's just, and you realize it's just so funny when we watch these old shows, just how sexist it is. Yeah. Sweetie, honey, come here. Every female on the show, it's very funny.
Those moments where that fire comes out in her.
That's what I mean. That's what you sort of live for, those moments, and it's okay. I enjoy her company, and okay, so. There's President Obama. I remember we had dinner with him. No, I didn't. That wasn't me. Yeah, honey, it was you. No, yes, it was. Okay. So, yeah. So you try to smile and have a good time with it. And that's what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, though. It just sounds like you guys still have a lot of fun together, right?
Well, I took her to Nordstrom's when she's still walking around a little bit there, because she's feeling that. Come, let's get I don't want to get close. Come on. So let's go in the shoe department. She goes, oh, look at those blue sneakers, electric blue. Wow, those are great. You like those? I said, how much are these? $24. Honey, you want these? Get them here. I said, honey, get another pair if you want. I can? Yeah. So you see these red and white ones on the table, She goes, oh, I'll take these. I said, honey, put those on. Put your shoes in the box and you wear those home. Oh, thanks. That'll be great. Okay, so she puts them on. So I got 2 pairs of shoes. I got my credit card at $24.95. Okay, that is $788. I go, no, I bought 1 pair. He goes, yeah, those are the regular. The ones you were designed by who's he's some guy with a bedazzler, because it looked like the same set of sneakers, same pair of sneakers, just had some little rhinestones or something on them. And now I'm stuck, and it just made me laugh. I mean, I'm glad I can afford to do that.
Sure.
Because I look at her and she says, "I like these shoes." I go, "Oh, good, honey. Great, okay." I never even said it. It just made me laugh, and you have to sort of. That's the humor, and I realize I sound like I can. I mean, I'm glad I can afford to do it. It was money well spent.
Well, I mean, it's just the optimism of the whole thing, right? It's just like you were in a place that you were able to do it, and and it made her happy.
That's what I mean. It made her happy, and that makes it all worthwhile.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You look around the world, and we have a lot of young people that don't really understand things as far as certain steps to take to be successful, the back end grind, and I feel like in the audience, there's always a 20-something, whether it's a male or female, that's always looking for some type of advice, right? What would you tell a 20-something right now that is looking to come up and start any type of career?
Well, I'm the old Dale Carnegie stuff still works. Look them in the eye, shake hands, make eye contact, write letters as opposed to emails if you can. It shows you can write, which a lot of people can't. I mean, I remember this kid told me, I want to get into show business. And I said, who do you like? And he mentioned Steven Spielberg. I said, well, why don't you write a letter? No, I'm not going to do that. I said, write a letter. Don't write it on crayon in a paper bag like a psycho. Write the right form. Look, if you don't know how to write a letter, look it up. They show you, your return address in the corner, the whole thing. And he got a job as an assistant working on a Steven Spielberg film.
Wow.
Because his letter was so well written. I thought, because I find most people try to find people who, when they talk to young people, they see themselves in that person. I meet people, I'm a young comedian. I want to say, oh, great. I feel excited because he's exactly where I was, And I was always thrilled at any help that anybody gave me. So I try to do that. And it's very rewarding when years later they come and go, you got me in the door or whatever it might be, But that's what I would say. Write a letter to someone you admire and why you admire them. And 9 times out of you probably won't get a response. But there's always going to be somebody who goes, gee, look at this kid. Well, I'll give you the best example. I met a kid from my hometown, Italian kid, funny. Okay. And he came to see me a couple of times, and I got to talking with him. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I want to go to UMass, but it's expensive. I said, oh, okay. So I'm going to go to a community college and then transfer a couple of years. So I went home, I thought about it, and I said, well, let me spring for this. Let me I can afford it. So I called his mother to make sure I'm not some creepy old guy hitting on his son. I said, listen, I bet your son. I said, I'm going to pay for his college education. And I was just a single mom. No, not a single mom. So not single. And so she's thrilled. Okay. So I do that. The first year goes by. At the end of the first year, I call him and see how he's doing. He said, Mr. Leno, thank you so much and everything. He said, I really appreciate what you did, and I worked really hard, and I got a scholarship for the next 3 years, so I don't need your money anymore. And it actually made me cry.
Oh, my God.
Because here's a young person. He could have had a free ride for the next 3 years. And I wouldn't have felt any, fine. But he felt somebody did something for him. He went and he really applied himself, got a scholarship for the next 3 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Saved me about $80,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. And that just makes you feel good. And it does make you feel as good as doing the best show you ever did in your life or whatever this might be. Just go, okay, at least you contributed something to the world. You put I don't have any children, so you put a good human being out there and gave him a start,
I think when you tell that story, I'm thinking of just integrity. Right, the integrity of that young man at that point.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and that's just a gen whatever.
Yeah,
it always makes me laugh when people, because when I was a kid, kids today were just awful, and now we move on, and I hear the people who were in my generation burning down the Bank of America, complaining about, guys, don't you remember you threw the firebomb into the Bank of America? So. Every generation thinks the last generations are idiots or stupid or something. And you realize that's just the way of the world. It's just, that built-in conceit you have. You know, I had somebody say something to me, it made me laugh, a younger person, and we're talking, and I said, you know, back in the 90s, whatever it was, he goes, well, you know, in the 90s, people were really stupid. I go, really?
Interesting. Tell me more.
What was so stupid? The rockets, the spacecraft, the science, the medicine, really. But I just like the fact that people in the 90s were stupid, because there is that conceit that comes with whatever generation you're in. You know, I remember when I was a kid going to the Space Museum and seeing Alan Shepard's, he was the first guy to go into space from America. The capsule. And it was a little thing. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I'd go on that. Because I saw it at that was the best technology we had at the time I saw it. I went to Smithsonian a couple of years ago. I wouldn't get, it's like a garbage can with a lid on it and a window. I said, I wouldn't get in that thing.
Gutsy.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? When you live in that era where, well, this is as good as you could be, you know, when you look at, what's that guy, Shackelford, the guy that went into Antarctica, you know, well, he had all the best equipment you could get at the time. What could possibly go wrong? You know, so it just makes me laugh.
It is kind of funny, you know, just thinking about that. And you talk about the conceit of the generation that you grew up in. Because, I mean, I'm 46. Like, I always say to my kid, when I was your age, you know, this is what we did. Right. You know, we come home, drop our backpacks. All right, Mom. All right, Dad, you got homework? Nope. Really did. Yeah. We go play football in the street. We go to school and play kickball. We'd ride our bikes. We come home when the lights, you know, the street lights come on. We eat our dinner, and then we'd play video games, right? But like, my kids looking at me and like, well, then, you know, why was that so great? Like, why can't we go outside and just roam around? I'm like, oh, no, you can't do that now. Right. You can't do that now because it's, you know, the neighbor drives 50 miles an hour down our street. Yeah. And it's just dangerous. But to your point, like, every generation thinks their generation was the best because that is our experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's hard now. We don't know what this generation, I mean, this generation is growing up with AI and all these different types of tools. Like, we don't know what it's like to grow up in the pressures and the access that these kids have now. Well, you know, I went to school when you had a gun club at school. A gun club? Yeah, good luck with that. Holy shit. You good luck with that. You know, you can't do that now. Those things don't exist anymore. Wow. Yeah, it's just a different time. You know, when I was in high school, we had car shop. Right. Yeah. I don't know if that's a program anymore or anything like that. No, most schools have done away with that. Same thing with gym. Like you go to gym online. I don't know how that works. It's totally different. That's always my favorite thing. You know, if we just get gambling, our schools would be the best schools in the country. The kids all have books. So I remember Massachusetts, they introduced gambling. The schools aren't any better. Where'd the money go? Yeah. You know, it used to be you won $1 million. That's unbelievable. You just buy a lottery ticket, you get $1 million. Now people go, I'm not going down to the 7-Eleven for $1 million. Let me know when it's 100 million, and I'll buy a ticket. You know, it's just so funny. I always go down the interstate. You know, we go I-75. You know, in Southwest Florida. I look at the little billboard, and I go to my wife. I go, you see that? I go, $180 million. I go, we don't ever buy a lottery ticket. Oh, for the lottery, yeah. I mean, it's wild the amount. Like it's everywhere. It's like, dang, what if I bought one and actually won? You know, but we just never do it. Yeah. You know, it's interesting to me. No, I don't buy it. Like, to me, that's the stupidest thing you could do. Maybe I'm smart then. It's just a poor people tax. That's what it is. I mean, interesting. You know, that's the change I see. Mm-hmm. Like when I was a kid, if I met a guy that had a cool car, he was either an industrialist or sometimes he's just a rich kid, but something. You know. I remember taking this is 30 years ago, taking my Lamborghini Countach to a car show, and every kid said, "Are you a drug dealer? Did you win the lottery? What do you do?" One kid asked if I was a pimp. I said, because that's... were you dressed like a pimp? No, not hardly. I don't dress that well. I was just, okay, really? So that's what that's success? That's how you get, pimp. It's a little odd. It is a little odd. I've never been asked that. Oh, there you go. You don't really look like a pimp. No, I don't. Not pimping, huh? That's okay. I dress simple like you. Huh? I'm simple. I just dress simple. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because you know, that whole conversation is just, it's just perspective, right? And what we all need to do in the era that we're growing up, or whatever stage in life we are, is just focus on what's important, which is our family first and foremost, and putting in the effort every single day. You know, and you talked about your work ethic, you know, behind the scenes, you know, 12-hour days, and it's really enriched your life. You know, you've built something amazing. You've built a brand, you've built a name to where, I mean, quite honestly, man, I don't think there's anybody I can go to anywhere and say, Jay Leno, like, yeah, I know Jay Leno.
Well, right now, in a couple of years, that'll fade pretty quickly. I remember someone said to me, I was at a college, and they said, we had Elvis here. I said, Elvis played here? They said, oh, yeah. Well, when? They said, well, like 8 years ago. What? He's been dead. What are you talking about? Oh, they were talking about Elvis Costello. Oh. And I was like, oh. And they went, no, I said Elvis Presley. And they went, oh, Elvis Presley. I'm like the old guy. Like, oh,
look at this old guy in front of me. He's a fossil.
Yeah. It just made me laugh. It's like, yeah.
Did you ever see Elvis in
No, I didn't actually. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of Elvis as a young kid. Mm-hmm. And I'd done a bit about Elvis on the Merv Griffin show. And Dick Clark called me to tell me Elvis saw it and thought it was funny. And I went, oh, okay. And then he died.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
You know, like, I almost thought you were funny.
That works for me.
That's just interesting, man. So, well, look, it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks.
Dude, I have one more question.
Yes.
Though, right? So, I ask this every show.
Every show.
It's the Determined Society. That's the name of the show. And at the heartbeat of the show is determination and discipline. Mm-hmm. And so what I always like to ask every single guest is, what does determination mean to you?
Well, I've never taken a vacation.
Never?
No. Well, again, my job, I'm doing 3 nights in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just go to places that would be deemed a vacation for most people. But the idea is, no, I live like I'm broke most of the time. If I don't have money coming in this week, okay, that's it. I'm a bum. I'm lazy. You know, when I was, my mother could never quite figure out if California is 3 hours ahead or 3 hours behind. So sometimes she'd call me at like 5 a.m, thinking it was 8 o'clock.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Wow. So I would, hello? She go, are you sleeping? No, I'm up. I'm just getting started. What's up, Ma? How you doing? Yeah, I could never say I was sleeping.
Right.
Now I'm like the laziest person ever.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. And, I would always tell comedians, you're not going to be happy with a spouse until you're happy with your act. If you get your comedy where you want, then you look for the wife or the husband or the partner or whatever it might be.
Interesting.
But this is what you do, and it runs your life. And the other thing will always be equal. It might pull ahead a little bit, but it's right up there. It's just for your stability. There's nothing wrong with most comedians. A new 5 minutes of really funny stuff would not heal. When I see guys go drinking, whatever, they lose it all, But that's the other thing, too. I find comedians either excessive drugs, alcohol, everything, or complete abstaining.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had a drink in my life. I've never done drugs in my life. I never smoked a joint in my life.
That's awesome.
It doesn't interest me.
Right.
It's not awesome. It just doesn't interest me.
Okay.
This is what I love about Howard. There's something, someone said to me, there's something wrong with you if you've never even tried cocaine. I go, I don't have any interest in it. Well, they'll see that shows you're not. No, what reason would I have? It doesn't interest me. But this person just thought there's something wrong with me because I'd never even done cocaine. What's the matter with you? It just made me laugh.
Well, Jay, I haven't either. So, we're kind of like twins there. Doesn't interest me.
Sounds like a Tinder hit. Yeah.
Tinder.
Yeah, but yeah.
Swipe right or left? I don't.
Yeah.
I've never been on the app, so I don't know. Is right like
I don't know.
a match?
I'm not dating apps are not really what. I don't know.
You never had to, right? You mean
no? I would always meet women in the produce department.
You're a genius.
That's the best place.
Absolutely.
Then, they're healthy.
Fruit. You're there.
Yeah. I think I'm not going to be okay.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
That's it.
Yeah.
But it's true. I always meet people if they're buying cigarettes and steaks. Okay, this is not good.
Yeah. You go to the fruit.
Yeah. There you go.
Look in the basket. No fruit there. Boom. TV dinners. I'm good.
That's right.
Yeah, you're on. One more thing, because you brought it up, man. You brought it up, and now it's got my wheels turning. It reminded me of some things that I heard about. You mentioned you live like you're broke. Is it true that you banked all of the money from the Tonight Show and just lived on stand-up comedy? Yeah,
because I'm a stand-up comedian. That's what I do. I never got. I have so many friends of mine. As soon as the TV show ended, the table at Spago was gone. What happened? I never had a table at Spago. I just went home and made dinner. I just always tried to, people as Abby, one of the producers that we work with, thinks it's hilarious that I've been using the same fork since high school.
You have?
Yeah.
You have the same
fork?
fork?
When I came to California, I packed a knife and fork in my suitcase, and I just used that fork. And, it works great. It hasn't broken. I haven't had to get any warranty work done on it. It's an excellent fork. It works fine. I just use that fork.
That's hysterical.
It's like, to me, I use the same plate over and over, and I wash it and I put it back.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, as a single guy, I only had one plate. And you wash it, you eat on it, you put it back. And I still kind of do that. And my wife thinks that's like the stupidest thing, but it just makes me laugh. Why do I need more than one fork? I have my fork. I've saved a fortune in forks over the years.
It's amazing. Yeah. That just says something about gratitude.
No, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. To me, I'm dyslexic. I'm not good with numbers. So I would always bank one job and spend money on the other. When I was a kid, I worked at McDonald's and I worked at Wilmington Ford. And I put the McDonald's money in this pocket and the Wilmington Ford money in the bank, or vice versa.
It's awesome.
That's what I would do. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to carry like $20 in this pocket and like $300 in this pocket. So if I got robbed, I would just give him this pocket, So I'm hitchhiking. A guy picks me up, puts a knife to my throat. I go, okay, hang on. And I went to the wrong pocket and I gave him the $300. I said, oh, that's the wrong pocket. What do you? You got something in the other pocket? Then he got my other money too. I went, oh yeah, man.
Well, better than dying.
Yeah, but this guy was like, he was scared to death. I go, look, I'm not scared. I hope you don't stab me. I'm giving you all my money. So I always try to carry enough money not to annoy the robber.
Right.
Make him feel he
did something good by hijacking you.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good strategy. Yeah. But thank you so much.
All right.
Jay. So everybody, Jay Leno. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you very much.
Till next time, stay determined.
Shawn French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time. I confirmed it. A whole society determined to
Next up is a little song from CarMax about selling a car your way.
You wanna sell those wheels, you wanna get a CarMax instant offer.
So fast.
Wanna take a sec to think about it.
Or like a month.
Wanna keep tabs on that instant offer.
With Offer Watch.
Wanna have CarMax pick it up from your driveway.
So, wanna drive? CarMax. Pickup not available everywhere. Restrictions and fee may apply.